What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Hot Mic here live on the Outlaw Nation channel. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, joined by the man with the plan, the guy who's got the scoops to put in the hoop, Jeff Sneider. How are you, Jeff?
I am just dandy, John. Good to see you, buddy.
You too, my man. You too. I can barely hear you. Can you get closer to the microphone, or can you turn up the microphone?
What, is this no good?
There you go. A little bit better now. A little bit over the microphone.
My hands were in the way of the microphone or something. I don't know.
I'm going to get you a thing. You can put your, they sell these things now where you can put your laptop higher and you can actually type on it, just letting you know. So maybe we should get you one of those for Christmas so you can get the mic closer to your mouth. We got so much to cover here today, and we've got some possible breaking news, maybe tease a little bit of breaking news from Jeff Sneider going on. So, Jeff, how are you feeling overall? Get ready to jump into things. Where shall we go? What are you feeling?
Let's start with the Marvel dates, John.
Okay, we're going to start with the Marvel dates. And before we jump into this, we'll remind you all, please, Streamlabs and SuperChats are open. Just pin the Streamlabs address in the chat. It's also right above Jeff's head. So send in your support for the show, for the program, for us. Certainly give your thanks to Jeff for what he is doing here for the show and all that he's got going on. Yeah, Marvel, let's start a little bit of this came out a couple days ago, so a little bit soft opening into our show here. We're going to get into some big stuff as the show goes along. Marvel has moved Blade from September 6, 2024 to November 3rd. It's moved it to September 6, 2024 from November 3rd, 2023. This is after, of course, the director Bassam Tariq was let go a couple of weeks ago. Also, Deadpool 3 is now moving to November 8th, 2024, back from September 6th, 2024. Fantastic Four has been pushed back several months now to February 14th, 2025, back from November 8th, 2024. And Avengers Secret Wars has moved to May 1st, 2026. Now there's no longer a 6-month gap. It's a year-long gap between those two Avengers films, kind of reminiscent to Infinity War and Endgame. So, Jeff, thoughts overall on these Marvel release dates, these pushing back, and are we seeing the end of Mahershala Ali as Blade? I've seen that rumor as well. What are your thoughts on all these Marvel movies?
Have you actually seen that rumor?
So say that again?
Have you actually seen that rumor?
Yes, I've seen that being reported in places that there's rumors that he's considering whether he's going to stick with the project or not.
Okay. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, I think I tweeted this when, all that stuff came out, someone involved in Marvel projects or whatever reached out and said, this stuff doesn't surprise me. And I have heard that Mahershala is frustrated, and I think that he should just drop out and go play Magneto in X-Men. And I started to think of him in the helmet and everything. And actually, I think Mahershala Ali would make a pretty good Magneto. But, again, this was just one person's opinion and not someone who's involved in X-Men or whatever. It lined up with everything that we'd heard, right? It's so funny when there's one change to, like, one movie gets delayed. If there's script issues on one thing, it changes the release dates for like 12 movies.
Yeah. That's an interconnected universe, Jeff. It's like when you copy and pasting and you like have to click on 7 different things to move them all together, because once you move one thing, you got to move them all. That makes sense.
I mean, it's interesting, with Deadpool 3, I think being in front of Fantastic Four, like, it's clear that something is going to happen, I think, in Deadpool 3. Right, that will then set up Fantastic Four. Thunderbolt still very behind Captain America 4. Is there something that's going to happen in Captain America 4 that sets up Thunderbolts?
You would imagine so, with the Sebastian Stan connection with Zemo. With the Bucky in connection with Zemo and all of that. That's certainly possible. Even though Zemo wasn't announced as being part of the Thunderbolts, you imagine he'll have something to do with it.
Well, John, as a matter of fact, I have an update.
Oh! What do you got? we should come up with something for that.
I don't know. Some sort
what
of.
What do I got? Do I have anything?
So, guys, I have not told John Rocha what this news. I have not told John Rocha what this news is because John Rocha can't be trusted. That is super annoying. Enough of that.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. A couple shows ago, we talked about the rumor that Harrison Ford either offered Thunderbolt or, had already passed on it potentially because, I hadn't gotten like a confirmation. It was sort of like a denial from Marvel or whatever. But I wonder if I asked the wrong question.
Oh, okay.
I think I asked the question, is Harrison Ford, I'm told Harrison Ford's been cast as Thunderbolt in Thunderbolts.
Right. Thunderbolt Ross. Right.
Hey, I don't know if that's the case yet.
Oh.
I don't know that they have that deal done yet.
Okay.
But there's another deal. I hear that Harrison Ford has, in fact, closed a deal to play General Thunderbolt Ross, and that the movie is Captain America 4.
Wow.
That's what I've heard.
Wow.
I've heard it's a done deal. Harrison Ford, Thunderbolt Ross, Captain America 4. That's what I've heard. And that is potentially why they were like, Harrison Ford is not in Thunderbolts yet.
Yes.
That, maybe I left them that window to deny it. I'm not sure, but everything that I'd heard that the Kathy Kennedy story was repeated to me by a completely different source.
Okay.
I think it's pretty true that is what happened, that they wanted to keep the focus on Indy.
Right.
I think it's done.
At D23, they wanted to keep the focus on Indy. So what you're saying is Captain America New World Order, which comes out on May 3rd, 2024, just the penultimate outing of Phase 5, will feature Harrison Ford as General Thunderbolt Ross. It is the introduction of Harrison Ford replacing William Hurt as General Thunderbolt Ross. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying as of now. Yes, it is.
Wow, that's big news. I mean, yeah, if you're going to introduce, because I think Captain America 4, as you said, is right before Thunderbolt. So that's the key maybe to slide it in. I was thinking Zemo, but if it's Thunderbolt Ross, that could make a lot of sense. Any news of anyone else from the Thunderbolts cast possibly showing up in Captain America 4 New World Order? Are they possibly villains or possibly people who are interacting with Captain America? You've got U.S. Agent. You've got Bucky. Is there a Winter Soldier? Is there possibilities here that they're all going to appear at some level here? Or will it be a post-credit scene? What do you anticipate?
I have no idea as to like the context of the appearance or anything like that. But when you think about it, obviously, first of all, Falcon and Winter Soldier is the only Marvel show that I made it all the way through.
Right.
I really liked it, but I can, I know it's not a lot of people's favorites. But it's they need a little bit more firepower, I think, than just not that Mackie isn't, a huge movie star in his own right, which he is, and people love him as that character. But, I think it would help to have some major stars in Captain America 4. And it doesn't get much bigger than Harrison Ford. So,
yeah, I said this when the cast came out and New Rockstars put up a tweet saying, "You guys ain't ready for this cast." I was like, we're pretty ready for this cast. I'm okay with this cast. You need some heavy hitters. Florence Pugh, certainly establishing herself very strongly. But Harrison Ford, that's a whole nother ball game. Bringing him in to be a part of the MCU. I mean, when Robert Redford came into Winter Soldier, that was a huge deal for a lot of people. So having Harrison Ford coming in, I think gives it even more credibility, a little more gravitas, shall I say, a little more weight, and it makes it a very interesting piece of the puzzle here to fit in the MCU. So I love this idea. This is great. And when you said it, it seems to fit perfectly. General Thunderbolt Ross in Captain America 4. That makes all the sense in the world, military-wise, the connective tissues with all of that, because it's a different Captain America, obviously, than we had before. So we have a veteran in Anthony Mackie, in the character that he's playing. He's a veteran of the service. So will he have served under Thunderbolt Ross? Will there be a connective tissue with him? All kinds of questions you can explore there for sure.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Cool.
all I got. That's the story.
I love it. JC Mighty saying, I love you guys from Collider Days, and you're my favorite duo on YouTube. As a Black Brit, I appreciate your balance and wokeless takes. Okay.
Right. I mean, wokeless. So, like I'm not like every anti-woke position I'm taking. Like, that's not how we want to position ourselves.
Jeff likes black
the thing is that the problem with the woke, right, is that everything is viewed through that spectrum rather than just take it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. You got to take it case by case. You're not wrong on that, Jeff, for sure. Got a couple of Streamlabs that have come through. Ladies and gentlemen, send in your support. Jeff just broke some big news. Harrison Ford going to be a part of the MCU in Captain America 4 here on the Hot Mic. For anybody who's watching or listening, if you're citing the show, put a link, for God's sakes, to this show. Cite both of us in the news, for God's sakes. Nancy Mallory saying, it's no surprise that the internet and politics impacted late-night TV with low ratings, and hosts like Trevor Noah and James Corden are leaving their shows. Is late-night TV dead, or does it need to change to stay relevant? Interesting question, Jeff. What's your thoughts on that?
I need it again. Does late-night TV need to change to stay relevant?
Yeah, she's Nancy's saying it's no surprise the internet and politics impacted late-night TV with low ratings, and hosts like Trevor Noah and James Corden leaving their shows. Is late-night TV dead, or does it need to change its format to stay relevant?
It's a good question. I mean, listen, on one hand, you can't change it up too much because it's supposed to be comfort food. You're not supposed to really think about it too much. You're falling asleep. That is what it is intended for, that you are, it's just like this comforting safety blanket, and you know exactly what the format's going to be every night, and yada, yada, yada. On the other hand, those shows were created in a landscape where there wasn't anything else to watch.
Yeah.
Dial up a show 24/7. You had to wait until its specific time slot to watch it, right? So we can watch anything, Netflix, and all these streaming services, all this stuff at any time, 24/7. So I think that you're right. In order to stay relevant, it probably needs to do something to shake it up. And I've seen that, I think that there have been those pitches, right? Like, do we need to be an hour and a half or an hour long show or whatever? Could it just be a half hour? Could it just, could we eliminate the monologue or eliminate the, I think there's a lot of things you can do with it. What about you?
Yeah, I think so too. But I'm not surprised. I mean, look, politics burnt out Jon Stewart, and there was nobody more politically oriented than Jon Stewart. Jimmy Kimmel has more of a relaxed approach to this kind of thing. He just jabs and jabs and jabs, has fun with it. But I feel like someone like James Corden or Trevor Noah, they take that with them. And Corden, of course, has gotten crap from both sides of the Atlantic. Both the Brits and the Americans have given James Corden crap. So maybe he's just exhausted by it. He's burnt out by it. Trevor Noah certainly had to work so hard just to get in the position to be liked. Now, after a couple of years or a few years of being liked, now he wants to go and see that there's other things out there. So I think they just get burnt out doing the same thing over and over again. They're performers. And Jeff's right. Like back in the old days, that's, where you saw interviews on The Tonight Show. Now you can dial up YouTube and watch the same person being interviewed on multiple networks, multiple websites, multiple whatever you want to say, multiple sites.
These guys can go on and do anything. Like Trevor Noah's, producing movies now. James Corden has carpool karaoke. Like these guys have their hands in so many things. Trevor Noah's like a best-selling author too, I believe.
Right.
He's also a touring comic.
Yes.
So it's just like, I think back in the day, you'd think that these guys would just sort of die at the desk. And now they can just diversify their revenue stream in so many different ways. That, they want to, do 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it is, establish that connection with the audience, and then move on.
Also, I mean, if you look at this, he's dating Dua Lipa. You got to make time for Dua Lipa, son. If you want to make that relationship work, I'd have quit my job too if I was dating Dua Lipa. I'm not even joking. All right, let's move on. Jeff, one more Streamlab came through here from Travis Earl. What's Jeff's take on the Alan Moore comments? Referencing what Alan Moore said recently in an interview with The Guardian, he said that people who like superhero movies is the infantilization of the culture of men. And that if you like these superhero movies, if you're queuing up to see a Batman movie, it might be the precursor to you becoming a fascist, which is what he said. But he also admitted back in 2020 or 2021 that he hadn't seen a superhero movie in the theater since 1989's Batman. So I get where he gets off thinking he can make a comment like this, but also this seems a bit uneducated when he hasn't watched the superhero movies and how they've changed and metamorphosized since 2008.
Yeah, I think you're right. If he hasn't seen the movies, he's really just going off the marketing of the movies, which he's probably bombarded by no matter where he lives in the world. And so it's probably is annoying to him in some respects, or, he just takes a look at the marketing materials and makes a judgment call. Listen, some of these movies obviously have artistic merit. Yeah. Some of these movies are really good. Most of these movies are terrible. Let's be serious. I mean, what the fuck are we talking about here, people? Most of this stuff is garbage. Most of you are babies. Most of you are children.
Wow.
Right? Who lap this stuff up, who are there, at 3 a.m. when the new episode of She-Hulk drops, or waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. What do you want me to say?
It's a job.
In many ways, Alan Moore is correct.
I don't think the fascism is correct. I think that's crazy.
No, watching these movies isn't going to turn you into a fascist. Of course not. I don't think you're a fascist if you're lining up to see a movie that you're excited about. But as far as the infantilization and all that stuff, yeah.
I don't agree with that. I think everything works with whatever works for your generation, right? Back in the old days, back in the 30s, 40s, what did they play? Cowboys and Indians. What did that become? Westerns. So they watched Westerns all the time. Westerns were massive. And then other genres took over and they were massive. And then other genres took over and they were massive. It's all the extension. So you can't tell me that these people go see the comic movies. They're also buying houses, paying their taxes, getting married, having children. This is the idea that we want to just assign the entire conglomeration of people who go see the superhero movies to like a small minority of people who are the loudest on the internet doesn't make any sense. As you've said before, Twitter is 6% of the entire world. 6.
It's not just comic book movies. I mean, look, I'm a 30-year-old grown man with movie posters behind my head.
Yeah.
I mean, some women will walk into this apartment and be like, what the fuck is this? So like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I think you're naive if it's like, if you're so wrapped up in some of these spandex and capes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, guys, shit isn't that important and it's not that good.
Yeah. Fair enough. That is what he said, DK. I'm looking at the quote right now, DK. All right, so let's move on. What do you want to move on to next? Batman? You want to talk about these reactions, or what do you want to move to next?
Let's talk about Black Adam. Yeah,
Adam. That's what I meant to say. So,
It's like there were a couple of truth bombs that pierced the fog. But man, most of the reactions I read were just lining up to just basically kiss DJ's ass.
Mm-hmm.
It was unbelievable, these people, how much they want to be retweeted by The Rock. And it's like, hey, I love The Rock. You love The Rock. We both
love The
Rock. And it feels great when The Rock singles you out, and tweets at you or whatever. But holy shit. These people are just so not trustworthy. And they demonstrate it how many times? Dozens of times? Hundreds of times? Like, this all started. I can go back to like when the Social Network started screening for like the online critics. It's always like the online junket fanboy press who get to go first. Why isn't it Richard Brody at the New Yorker who's the first one reviewing Black Adam? Holy shit.
I initially saw Sean O'Connell's tweet, which wasn't that positive about the film, said it didn't really work for him. And then I retweeted that last night and said, oh boy, this is what I'm worried about. But then I saw a lot of people's tweets. Scott Manzello.
That's the new, this movie sucked. It didn't work for me. Guys, it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But for you, it could work.
Right.
Go on.
What do you think that's all about, though? Do you think that critics do that because they don't want to lose like followers? They don't want to get attacked by some of the DC fans who come in, and if you're not appropriately fawning at a DC film, they come in and attack you. And some of them are absolutely out of their fucking minds with some of the shit they tweet at you, or I've seen tweeted at people. Roxy tweeted today something, or retweeted today. Someone said to her about liking She-Hulk. They tweeted a tweet that said, or she retweeted the tweet. The guy said, oh, look, another Jewish woman saying something stupid. I mean, what the fuck? This is the kind of shit you're dealing with. So
Roxy
I don't know.
deals with more anti-Semitism than I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
It's really something.
I think it's because they have nothing else to attack her for. That's the one that she's beautiful. She's good at what she does. She has a good fan base. And they go, this is the one thing they can't change. Let's attack this,
Sure. I guess I'm surprised. I don't get more anti-Semitism online, given that I'm obviously Jewish.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, where's my anti-Semitism? What the hell?
Yeah, why are you asking for this?
I don't even get invites, and I can't even get anti-Semitism. Black Adam. What, like, this movie? It looks terrible. And The Rock The Rock has like been big on like, guys, I got the marketing for this thing. The whole marketing plan was on me. Like, when this movie opens below expectations, are we still gonna hear that?
Oh, do you think it opened below expectations? I mean, the word of mouth is pretty strong now. The buzz is pretty strong for the people who got to see it ahead of time. It was projected about 50 to 70 million. I know you don't think having Cavill in here is going to move the needle, but it might cross 100 million this weekend or next weekend. Is that a possibility in your mind?
It's as possible as me being pregnant right now. There's a 0% chance I am carrying a child, and a 0% chance that Black Adam will make $100 million.
Well, wait, let me ask you a question. Now, I think it'll make $100 million. I think it's going to shock the world. Let me ask you a question.
Opening $100 million.
Yeah, opening 100 million. Yeah, absolutely.
What do you want to bet?
I don't know. A steak dinner. How about a steak dinner?
Yes, done.
Yes. Okay. But like at Outback, not fucking Morton's. All right, that's all I can afford is Outback.
Outback.
You got one there at Burbank.
Sizzler, baby.
I'll give you Sizzler. That's fine. Cheese toast on me. But I think there's possibilities. What are you questioning? Do you think some of these critics or a lot of these critics are doing this so they can get the attention of The Rock? Are doing this? But are you sensing an inauthenticity? Is that what you're essentially driving at?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay. Is this based on anything? Is this because people have said to you something but tweeted something else, or do you've met these people, you have conversations, and you sense that there's
pretend even like being a collider, like having taped podcasts with certain people where they'll come out of the booth and be like, "Oh man, the fans are gonna get me for that one." It's like, well, why do you give a shit? Why do you care what the fans think? Like, we're just so scared. Oh, the fans are gonna beat me up for saying this, or I didn't like it enough, and the fans are gonna jump down my throat. Like, I'm telling you, they moderate their responses.
Yeah,
okay.
I know that for a fact. I work with a couple of people that have gotten death threats, and it's affected their review of films going forward from DC, and that's unfortunate because you can't exist in a world.
Getting death threats, and I wouldn't blame someone if they maybe took a little heat off their fastball if that was the case. But at the same time, like, maybe you're not cut out to be a critic.
I know.
If you want to handle it.
I'm sure Pauline Kael took a lot of shit. I'm sure Roger Ebert.
No, I don't think that audiences were like this back in the day, where people were like, "Oh, fucking Pauline Kael didn't like Clute. I'm gonna send her a death threat." Like, what? People,
I don't know, man.
Out there, and they hide behind the anonymity of the internet. I don't put stock in anything that anyone says without a name on it. By the way, you're an anonymous internet troll. Your opinion means less than nothing to me.
Yeah.
I always sign my name. You can go back to Ain't It Cool News. My name was on every fucking comment there, using horrible language that I'm sure will come back to end my career one day.
Oh, God damn it. Why'd you give that away?
I know.
Reynaldo McWhiskey says, come on, who doesn't love some positive vibes? Which sycophant do you think Rock is going to retweet first? Also, Dr. Fate does look pretty freaking awesome.
What am I going to play? A guessing game? I don't know who The Rock will retweet first.
Yeah.
Probably someone with effusive praise who singles out his charming good looks. And
fair point. Famous Thanos is saying, right, we're talking 100 million domestic, or I'm talking international, because if international across.
Okay. I'm putting in the caveat. What are you fucking kidding me right now? I said domestic.
Fine, 100 million domestic. Fine.
100 million international. Yes, I didn't think it was going to make 100 million international. It doesn't take 100 million international. Everyone up working at that Burbank lot should never come back.
But there were some negative comments. I mean, Sean Keane here, I don't know who he writes for. Spectacular Sean, he said, had to go through metal detectors for the Black Adam New York screening. Pity, because it's bad, no emotional depth, zero sense of peril for the main character, and dull CGI battles. There were some negative. Matt Neglia over there says Black Adam struggles to find its footing at first, but once the Justice Society enters, it becomes more fun to watch. I think that's a way of saying The Rock doesn't really do well with this role acting wise initially, and then the Justice Society comes in and kind of helps them, which is what a lot of people felt. He also said it has a weak villain in this. But also, you got to look at the fact that they are talking about the post-credit scene a lot, and The Rock's certainly been tipping his hand about it in all these interviews. So, Jason Inman and I were tweeting back and forth about this. Like, if you're talking about your post-credit scene more than you're talking about your movie, that doesn't make me confident for your movie.
Yeah. Again, The Rock he's been talking up this 5-second Superman cameo, right? Like, when you're talking up a post-credit cameo, like, you got nothing else.
Yeah.
It's the number that the tracking will eventually go down, I believe.
Yeah. All right. I think it's going to open at 100 million. I think a lot of people want to see this thing. So I think it's gonna blow up for sure. That's my personal opinion. Grace Randolph apparently gave it a bad Twitter review of Black Adam. Oh, there you go.
Well, she carries a lot of sway with psychopaths. Like, what? Who are Grace Randolph's fans? Do we have any fans in common?
I don't know if we have any fans.
Like people to make a choice.
I imagine if someone tweeted about it or put it on here, they might be a fan of hers. We'll see. All right. See, Adam Jimenez says, hi, guys. Great update on Harrison Ford. Jeff, that's why we watched the Hot Mic. I believe that even casting Harrison Ford in the role, you can beef up his appearances in that and other movies down the line in a Sam Jackson kind of way. Yeah, does Harrison Ford slide into the Sam Jackson role, in essence, the Nick Fury role here? Nick Fury dealing with Secret Invasion, of course, but does Harrison Ford kind of take that mantle going forward into this new version or new phases of the MCU, you think?
No.
Okay.
I don't get that vibe from Harrison Ford that he wants to be in 6 of these things. I think they would probably introduce him in Cap 4 and then give him like a real movie and arc and all that shit with Thunderbolts. Or, I mean, who knows? Maybe he fucking dies in Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts is like about avenging his death. Like, I have no idea. That is definitely possible. I have no idea. All I heard was that Harrison Ford is going to play Thunderbolt Ross in Captain America 4.
There we go. All right, people, keep sending in Streamlabs and SuperChats. We're a bit light today. I mean, Harrison Ford just dropped this massive news. We've got 260 of you all watching us right now. Send in some love for us here on the show through Streamlabs and SuperChats. Jeff, where would you like to go next here? We've got some Liam Neeson news, maybe to break a little bit of the seriousness. Are you excited by this at all? Liam Neeson starring as the son of Frank Drebin in a Naked Gun spinoff of all the people. Liam Neeson, and it's by the people.
The son of Frank Drebin? Really?
Yeah, that's what they're saying here. He would play the son of Frank Drebin. The Chippendale Rescue Rangers writers have closed the deal to reunite them with Akiva Schaffer on the project. It's rumored that Neeson would play the son of Frank Drebin's character as opposed to a straight remake with him taking over the iconic character.
I mean, I don't really understand that, but I mean, I guess he's, whatever. Sure. Sure. The son of Frank Drebin. His name is Jimmy Drebin now. Like, whatever.
Yeah, that's weird. Didn't we try this with Son of Pink Panther and it didn't really work out? So
it's like it matters whether he's the son or the dad or whatever. Like the Naked Gun's Naked Gun. He's the main character. His last name is Drebin. Fair enough. I like it though. I think that Liam Neeson has a funny side. He's been rumored for this for ages, right? Yeah. He's been connected to this for a long time. I think it's the Akiva Schaffer thing that may be new. And I did like that Chippendale movie. It was clever. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think this is a franchise definitely worth rebooting.
Right.
Will it be theatrical or streaming, though? I mean, Liam Neeson, when you think of his recent movies, all these movies with one-word titles, he's a streaming guy now.
I'm going to throw this out there. Some of you might hate me for this. I think Cuba Gooding Jr. to play the O.J. Simpson role. Why not? He played O.J. Simpson already in that, was it FX series with Travolta and all them. And he's got good comedic timing and could use being a part of a franchise. I think it would work well with Liam Neeson. So that's my vote. Cuba Gooding Jr. in the O.J. Simpson role. They'll probably get Lil Rel Howery or someone like that to do it, but that's my choice. No?
Yeah, John, you shouldn't be a casting director. I'll tell you that.
I mean, like OJ was in his prime when he did those fucking movies. Come on.
The most recent headline of Cuba Gooding Jr. is Cuba Gooding Jr. gets no jail time after guilty plea and sexual abuse case.
Fair enough. I apologize. I didn't see that. Sorry. Then I take it back.
But just like he's not I mean, he was funny in Jerry Maguire, but like he's not like funny. Yeah, they would go with a Lil Rel Howery guy.
That makes more sense, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so just to let you know, Leslie Nielsen was 84 years old when he died in 2010. So if you go back to 1990, right, that's 20 years. He was 64 years old when he was doing these movies. Liam Neeson right now is 70 years old. So he could totally play his son, considering there's at least a 25-year age difference between them. So Travis Earl, do your math. It's not like Leslie Nielsen stayed the same age since you saw the movie in 1989. It's been a lot of time passed. So just throwing that out there. All right.
Okay. Well, let's issue an apology. It's apology time here.
Okay, go ahead.
Like a couple months ago, I relayed a story that I had heard from a well-connected Hollywood denizen.
Okay.
About what happened, or what I'd heard had happened on the set of the Bill Murray movie, Being Mortal.
Yeah.
Right, with Keke Palmer.
Yes.
This week, Puck News, Matt Bellany's newsletter, came out with a story. They got their hands on the legal documents or whatever.
Ooh.
And it was their law person, Eric Gardner, their law reporter, who's excellent, by the way. He has a newsletter called The Rainmaker, I believe.
Okay.
And so he basically found out what happened on this set of Being Mortal, and it wasn't Keke Palmer. It wasn't that he touched her hair. This is the Bill Murray story you're talking about, the Aziz Ansari film. I mean, it didn't say that there wasn't any hair touching incident. It just said that the reason that the movie got shut down was because he sort of forced himself on a production assistant, a much younger female production assistant, who he thought had been flirting with him throughout the shoot. And so when they, sort of had some alone time or whatever, it was near a bed, and he sort of, pinned her and straddled her. And then there was like he attempted to kiss her or whatever, though they were both wearing masks. So I don't know how you kiss somebody with a mask on, or if it's like, was the mask dangling from his ear? And so the mask is half on and then he's kissing her. I don't know what the hell happened. Either way, he thought he was like being funny, and she did not find it funny. And she complained, and there was actually a witness who also backed up that complaint. And so they shut down the production to investigate what happened. And Bill Murray, he had made a statement sort of explaining his side of things to CNBC of all people. But in the end, he ended up settling with this woman for over $100,000.
Wow.
And part of that is that it takes the onus away from the production and the studio. So she, I believe as part of the settlement, she won't be able to sue the producers or the studio or anything like that. And Bill Murray sort of, I had offered her that amount, hoping that it would get the production back on track now that the production's indemnified from any legal recourse or whatever. Searchlight did not want to proceed. I mean, they could still proceed, but they have not yet. And it sounds like they've given Aziz Ansari, the director, permission to shop the movie around. So this is me apologizing to Keke Palmer. I am sorry, Keke Palmer, for, passing along this third-hand rumor that involved this story about your hair, because clearly that is not what not why the production got put on pause. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. That's not, but the point is that wasn't the reason for the shutdown, and that she wasn't the one who made the complaint. It was a female production assistant.
Has Keke Palmer addressed the rumors about the hair touching with Bill Murray or anything like that?
Well, that's the thing. She didn't. Okay. She said she didn't. I don't know anything about that. When they asked her sort of why the project had been shut down. Yeah. But then she went on Instagram and sort of said something about, being professional. And she sort of addressed the incident in a subtweet or whatever we call the Instagram equivalent. Yeah. And again, I think a big part of it for both myself and, someone like Jeff Wells or Jordan Rumi who passed this along as well, is that she is really the only woman in a position of power who could make a complaint, right? And then get a project like that shut down, or so we thought, right? We didn't think, if a female production assistant has a problem, they're just going to shut the whole movie down. Like, that's not usually how it works, although it did in this case. Yeah. That is why I think that, part of the assumption or whatever was because Keke was the female lead and the most powerful woman on the set, most likely. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So now the question is, what happens with Bill Murray, John? Do we want to see him? Do we forgive him? Like, how do you feel about it?
I think, look, if Louis C.K. can fucking make a comeback and people are buying his album and people, people like Chris Rock are defending him. I heard rumors that a very famous female comedian dated him right after all that situation went down. I'm not going to reveal who the comedian was because it would connect me to the director who gave me that rumor. And so to me, that's the thing that I look at here and I go, comedy is the one place. They'll always seem to find a way to forgive you. You got Bill Maher here on his program every week crying about woke culture and cancel culture and what he can and can't say and all this kind of nonsense. So this is the world of comedy. I think Bill Murray will absolutely, because this wasn't like, oh God, I want to say this real. I'm going to walk into a minefield here and say this was clearly Bill Murray claims that he thought he was doing something funny. This woman clearly did not like it. She's got a right to sue. She got her bag and respect to her. And I hope, there isn't some kind of underlying condition that keeps going for her or trauma from this that keeps going for her. But now the situation is, what does Bill Murray do? Bill Murray doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's going to go and get therapy or go and take a look at this all over again or whatever. I imagine his people are like, just wait this out and you'll come back. Do you want to know how many followers Chevy Chase has on TikTok? It's in the millions. Chevy Chase, ladies and gentlemen, and he is posting TikTok videos. There is always going to be an audience for the nostalgic comic for a lot of people because he or she brought so much joy to them. So there's more space. And so I think Bill Murray, who so many people still love and multiple generations discover his comedy, will create space for it because they can default mentally to the place of, well, it was a misunderstanding. Even though it may not have been, because it may have been him trying to take advantage and he's claiming he tried to do something funny, they can hide behind the fact that, well, it was a misunderstanding, so I can keep on liking him, So I think nothing happens to him. We wait. I think that Hollywood waits it out. And then he's going to be back in movies all over again, just like he waited out the Lucy Liu situation and the other situations that he's found himself in for whatever reason. Well, being male helps.
Do you think the movie should have been restarted or that someone should come in to rescue the movie?
Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? Because Keke Palmer said she had a fantastic time shooting the film. And she said vocally how she enjoyed working with Aziz, who, of course, has had his own accusations from a bad date gone wrong or however you want to see that. You can take both sides of it, I imagine. But this is the thing. But Keke said very, very openly on the red carpet that she had a great time shooting the film and she had fun working with Aziz Ansari. So, yes, I would say if you've got an actress who is excited about the film and had a great time working with your director, why wouldn't you save the film and see what you can make out of it and see what the end result will be? Recast the Bill Murray, obviously.
Well, and then move forward. You're talking about reshooting an entire. This is an indie movie that costs under $20 million. Now you're going to throw out that half of the movie, reshoot it, then finish. I mean,
I can't really speak on that because I don't know how much of the movie he was actually.
I'm telling you, that's not an option in any practical terms. So you either finish it with Bill Murray or you don't finish it at all.
Wow.
You're not going to reshoot a movie like that.
Well, I don't know why you'd finish a movie with Bill Murray where he sexually assaulted a person and expect that film to do any money, especially nowadays when fucking all these movies are tanking that are medium or independent films because people aren't watching them anymore.
Okay, so you'd pull the plug. That's fine.
Yeah, I would probably pull the plug if I can't reshoot the Bill Murray scenes. I would pull the plug. Okay. Like they did with Christopher Plummer and Kevin Spacey. They brought Plummer in and they had him shoot for 2 weeks and they replaced all the Spacey stuff. If you can't do that with the Bill Murray stuff, then yeah, I would not finish the movie.
Here's the difference there. One director is Ridley Scott, one director is Aziz Ansari.
All right, fair. Yeah, but also the budget's higher on the Ridley Scott film than the Aziz Ansari film.
Not that much higher.
Fair
all the money in the world was cheap. That's a cheap movie. People talking.
It's a long ass fucking movie for being cheap. Ronaldo McWhiskey says, respect the hot take, Rocha, hot casting choice. I think he meant the Cuba Gooding Jr. That shouldn't have said that. I'll do an apology in a couple months myself. Says, and I respect the retraction and or apology or clarification, Hefe or Jeff, as he's calling you. So,
of course, I mean, I'm not a complete and total asshole, everybody.
Not total. Peter Can't Talk right now says, Jeff, is there a bigger story behind the Blade stuff to still come out regarding the director/script? For example, have you heard what Mahershala Ali had and what he wants from the movie? Have you heard anything there?
One of them wanted more action scenes. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was Mahershala pushing for more action, or I mean, I don't know. But yeah, there was just a disagreement about the script and which direction they wanted to take it.
Ooh,
yeah.
Here's a good question: do you think Marvel/Disney recasts Bill Murray in Ant-Man 3? That's already done. They've already done trailers.
He's in it.
Yes, it was shown at the trailer for D23 and for.
I haven't seen the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that trailer's not online, right?
No, but it's been reported already on a number of locations that he's.
I had no idea. I can't speak to that without knowing without the role. I don't know what the role is, how big it is,
how big of a role he might have. All right, do you want to move on to anything else?
Let's talk about my Jonah Hill scoop.
Oh, let's talk about it. What do you got? What's the Jonah Hill scoop?
You didn't see this one? Oh,
brother, I've been working all fucking day, man. Give me a break. What's the Jonah Hill scoop?
I got a job.
Yeah. I've been talking for 7 hours today. I've been talking. Go ahead. Yes.
Get this guy a fucking lozenge. Would somebody please?
Get me an assistant.
Get him a clone.
Please. I would love
a 3D print another copy, Rocha.
Oh my God. A clone Rocha would make my life so much easier. Go ahead.
So about an hour before the show started, I did a story about Jonah Hill being attached to play golfer John Daly.
Oh,
the bad boy of golf. What do you think of that?
I don't know, because John Daly is a Southern boy, and I don't really see Jonah Hill as
doing Southern accents. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but the look of him, he's a down-home boy. I don't really see Jonah from the upper crust. Okay, I got hesitations. And look, he's going to have to put on weight. And certainly Jonah's gone back and forth with the weight struggle and spoken openly about the mental health struggles.
Jonah Hill will be able to put on weight. I've never heard anything like that.
Yeah, right.
What?
Yeah, John Daly is 6'3". Jonah is 5'4". That's another part of this thing. What is everyone gonna? Are they going to dig holes in the side of all the scenes?
Where people played Jack Reacher?
Who? Well, yeah, but nobody liked those fucking movies. Except I like the first one. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like the choice, but I loved him in Moneyball. So he's good in some sports movies, and of course he was great in fucking Wolf. But I don't know if I like the choice of him for John Daly.
Okay. Well, I will be sure to email my congressman.
What do you think?
I totally see it. I was editing the photos for them today, and I was like, oh, for sure. I mean, when Jonah's like blonde and like, kind of disheveled, and I was like, of course he could do this. Give him a mullet. Guy's got 2 Oscar nominations. He can do anything.
Have you watched the John Daly documentary, the 30 for 30? It's incredible. If you guys haven't watched that, you guys need to watch it.
Now I'm going to watch it. Okay. Yeah. John, if there's one thing John can give me recommendations about, it's 30 for 30 episodes.
It's true. It's true.
When he says there's a good 30 for 30, I'll watch it.
I watch them religiously. And I will say this, for those of you who are interested in the NWSL scandal, there's a fantastic hour-and-a-half E60 documentary that dropped this week on ESPN about it, exploring the sexual harassment and the allegations that were going on in the NWSL, a women's soccer league, and all the madness that was going on behind the scenes. They didn't have an HR department for 3 years. What the fuck? They didn't have sexual assault training or sexual harassment training for any of their coaches, executives, or owners of teams. That is mind-blowing when you're launching a women's professional league in the 2000s, in the 2010s in America. So there's another one I recommend for you.
That John Daly project, by the way, is from Anthony Maris, who directed Hotel Mumbai, which I really like.
Yeah, okay.
And the producers are the guys who did Old Henry, which I know we both like.
I love Old Henry. Holy shit, was that a good Western.
They're the guys who had the relationship with John Daly.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Based out of Nashville.
All right, we got to move to this story because I tweeted that I would talk about it on the hot mic. Warner Brothers Discovery announced a series of layoffs and budget cuts at Warner Brothers Television Group as Zaslav is continuing to trying to find $3 billion in post-merger cost savings. They were forced to reduce their workforce by 26%, with 125 positions were eliminated across business affairs, productions. They also announced plans to end their long-running writers and directors training program, which was seen as a key entryway for diverse talent to receive important industry opportunities. Certainly, a lot of people tweeted out that they had went through that program and that it helped them establish themselves in the business. A lot of people of color, like diverse people, tweeted that out. So after this backlash, and it caused a huge backlash when they announced this, when this was released, even the DGA said they will not stand idly by while WB Discovery seeks to roll back decades of advancement for women and directors of color. So now the shift will apparently here, they've changed this now to be in, it will live on now. They said the Writers and Directors Workshop will live on at the group's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Unit, as opposed to the Warner Brothers Television Unit, this will take place in April after the current 2022-2023 Writers Workshop class winds down. Asif Sadiq will take over the workshop programs. He's the new Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer and expand across the entire WD content portfolio. So, Jeff, I mean, when we were talking a few weeks ago, you might owe me an apology, motherfucker. I told you that this was looking bad with the Supergirl situation, with the Batgirl situation, with the Gordita Chronicles, which nobody watched. These things that were happening under Zaslav's, it looked racial. And now, something like this, you can't deny that the optics on this are terrible now. And the backlash clearly forced them to rethink this decision.
You're right. You're right all along. David Zaslav is clearly a white supremacist who hates black people.
I didn't say that, but certainly he's insensitive to the decisions he's making to people of color and how it might come across to people of color in the industry as well. When those new reports have come out over the last couple of years showing how diversity is still down in the lower percentage numbers rather than where they should be. So this would be another step in stopping that happening. So
here's my thing. It's like, you have all these pipelines that have been in place for the last few years, right? They're funneling all these writers of color into the industry. Yeah. Well, at some point, you now have a ton of fucking writers of color in the industry. And these people need jobs.
Right.
Which means you have to turn off the pipeline.
Yeah.
Because we've got it enough. We've got to hire these fucking people now. You can't, I mean,
okay.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, at some point, these pipelines, these workshops, all these labs, all this stuff, I mean, they can't really always go on indefinitely.
Yeah, but it's only been a few years. What are you talking about indefinitely? It hasn't even been 10 fucking years. White people have been funneling themselves into writing jobs for decades in Hollywood, Jeff. Decades. There have been a glut of white angsty writers all over this industry in this town for fucking decades. Why can't people of color be angsty and mad they can't get jobs either?
Let me ask you this question now. Okay. Be honest. Did you know about this program?
I'm very aware of all the diversity programs in the industry because I always beat myself up that I don't apply to enough of them. So yes, I'm very aware of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I used to.
A lot of people complaining yesterday had never heard of it before.
Yeah, well, possibly. But I tempted the Writers Guild. I tempted the DGA. So my whole first 10 years in LA was temping at these places so that I could still go to auditions, but also understand how the business works from the inside out.
Clearly, so, yes. That program has meant a lot to a lot of people.
Yes.
I mean, when Bellany tweeted it yesterday, my first instinct was to jump on it as a story. And then I got distracted. And then it was like, oh, well, you know, maybe it's not that big deal. Anyways, and then it was like 10,000 retweets and everything's up in arms. So I think I even maybe minimize its impact on the town. Although if you do read the comments closely and things like that, it's not what it once was, that program. It sounds like it really has just become another thing for the connected again.
I see what you're saying.
Yes. Because it used to be really for people without connections.
Yes.
Like anything else, it's overtaken by those who do have them.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know if Zaslav is again. This was a guy who was hired to make cuts. You got to let him make cuts, and some of the cuts are not going to be. It's not like he's not cutting anything involving white people. Like not one white person has lost their job since he took over. It's just
But from what I understand, his almost entire board is white. So I don't know. Just throw it out there. But I hear what you're saying. All right, let's see. Adam Jimenez says, hey guys, saw Amsterdam this past week and talk about a movie that was all over the place. Did you get a chance to see it? Not even Lebesky, the master, could make this movie at least look pretty, besides Margot Robbie and Anya Taylor-Joy, of course. Yeah, Jeff, due to you and a lot of people, I did not go see Amps. They even offered me a free ticket through the studio to go see it this weekend, and I turned it down because I just heard terrible things about this movie. Did you go see it? What's your thoughts on it?
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I want to be honest. Pretty sure I slept through half the movie.
Oh, God.
It was terrible.
Wow.
Terrible. It's just one of these movies where like never should have gotten past the script stage. Yeah. And if executives had any balls whatsoever these days, they would have read it and said, you know what, David? Really appreciate the effort, but it's not for us. Like, what is this story? It is such a mess.
Yeah.
The tones are all over the place. The cast isn't half bad, but it's completely wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a director jail movie. Yeah. Straight to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
What about Armageddon Time? Have you heard anything about Armageddon Time? Have you seen Armageddon Time? Anything you can say?
Very divisive, it sounds like. Some people really did not like it, and a lot of people are kind of loving it. I suspect I'm going to like it.
Okay.
I think it's good, but I like that sort of cheap sentimentality, a little mawkishness. It's, the movies that most critics are embarrassed to cry at, that looks like a movie that may make me cry.
Did you like the Ben Affleck one that came out on Prime Video with where he's the uncle?
Yeah, I liked it on the whole. I did.
Yeah, me too. I actually really had a great time with that one.
The trailer for Armageddon Time is a really good trailer, I think.
Yeah, that's why I'm curious. All right, Brendan Fraser says he would be open to a Return of the Mummy series. I'm sure this doesn't surprise you at all, Jeff. Actors wanting to come back to their own franchises, but he also commented on the Tom Cruise one, and he said that the Mummy should be a thrill ride, but not terrifying and scary. And he says that they didn't make that Mummy like that interesting or that exciting, and he thinks that's the reason that the Tom Cruise one failed. But he says, I don't know how it could work coming back to the franchise, but I'd be open to it if someone came up with the right concept. So what do you think about all this?
It's as simple as this.
Yes.
Who's the star of The Mummy?
Brendan Fraser.
No.
Okay.
Who's the star? Who should be the star of a movie called The Mummy?
The Mummy.
Yes.
Okay.
And who is the star of every Tom Cruise film?
Tom Cruise.
Exactly. Okay. So that is why Tom Cruise's Mummy did not work, because it wasn't a Mummy movie. It was a Tom Cruise movie. So I'm not a big fan of Brendan Fraser's Mummy movies. I'm not a fan of adventure movies, right? Because that is very much like an Indiana Jones type of movie, don't you think?
Are you not an Indiana Jones type of guy?
No, I'm not. Wow. I think adventure is the single hardest genre to pull off.
Interesting.
Because it has to just strike the perfect tone and walk such a fine line.
Okay.
So, I never really took to the Mummy movies. The first one was okay.
Right.
I didn't care for the sequels. So, do I want to see another Brendan Fraser Mummy movie? No. Okay. Quite frankly, no. It's about as much as I want to see another Journey to the Center of the Earth movie or whatever.
Oh, God. Did you bite your tongue?
Too?
Bite your tongue, man.
But as far as him taking a shot at Tom Cruise, sure. You know what? If you're going to take a shot at any Tom Cruise movie, and by the way, this is his competition for Best Actor. You know that, right? Tom
Cruise? You think Tom Cruise will be his top competition?
Not maybe his top competition, but will be the competition.
I know a lot of you self-important American white critics have an issue with the Banshees of Inisherin, and you're both jacking each other off or you're all jacking each other off like New York Giants on the sidelines. That is a damn good movie, no matter what you guys say. And I think Colin Farrell will absolutely get nominated for Best Actor.
Absolutely.
So when arrogant, xenophobic Americans are done jerking each other off, that Banshees of Inisherin is going to shock the world.
Colin Farrell is his number one competitor, I would say.
Yes.
Frasier's. But Tom Cruise is going to be in that 5. Okay. I have a feeling, and if I could be wrong there, but the point
I
is,
think it will be.
It was just interesting timing and everything on the campaign trail. But you know what? Tom Cruise deserves some shit for The Mummy. It was horrible.
It was
horrible.
I think he tries to defend it, but I think he also accepts that it really wasn't that well liked. And to be fair, Fraser didn't take a shot at Tom. He took a shot at the movie, said it was too horror based and there wasn't enough fun in the film. And he's not wrong. It was pretty horror based. in that criticism. He didn't say Tom Cruise was terrible in the role. He just said the film itself didn't work. I've got 4 or 5 other stories here. Do you want to jump in anything right now off your top of your head?
No, go.
Okay. Pierce Brosnan. Listen to this. Pierce Brosnan thinks that an off-color joke he made to Tim Burton possibly cost him the role of Batman back for the 1989 Batman. He was doing an interview here, obviously to promote Black Adam, and said, I went up for Batman way back in the day when Tim Burton was doing it. I didn't get the job. I remember saying something stupid to Tim Burton like, I can't understand why any man would wear his underpants outside his trousers. But there you go. The best man got the job. And, Dr. Fate and I were meant to meet on the same page, I think. And this was followed by Darren Aronofsky also saying that he pitched a pretty dark Batman Year One approach, but it was right after Batman and Robin, and it never really got past the initial pitch. But he had a really darker approach to Batman that he had pitched way back when. They didn't quite make it, but he is still interested in possibly doing a superhero film down the road. So Pierce Brosnan comments, Aronofsky comments. What do you got?
Yeah, why I want to be like, what movies are like, John, why do you bring me this shit? Why are we talking about these quotes?
It's Pierce Brosnan. He's in the news. Dr. Fate.
Let me get this straight. Let me just really unpack this.
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan thinks that Tim Burton can't take an off-color joke. Tim Burton doesn't do off-colored.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who wound up being Batman?
Michael Keaton.
What was he?
Beetlejuice.
An off-colored comic.
Yeah, it's true. Off-color comic.
What?
Yeah, it's fair.
So all that's garbage. Throw it all in the trash. It makes no sense.
Okay.
Aronofsky, yeah, I mean, that was before he did want to do a Dark Batman movie. That was before Nolan, and that's why he didn't do it.
Wasn't the right time, but I would love to see Aronofsky especially after The Wrestler.
So would I.
I mean, we've gotten Logan. If you can give me a Logan-esque type movie with Aronofsky as the director, I would love to see that. And I wonder who could be qualified to be the character for that down the road. It could be fascinating for sure. All right. Gangs of New York is becoming a TV series. Do we like this idea? I didn't like the movie. I know a lot of people like the movie. I can't understand why, but do you think this is a good thing? Kind of approaching it. Brett Leonard from Shantaram is behind the drama, which is dubbed as a new take on the story with new characters that were not featured in the movie, and which details the confrontation between rival gangs in New York in the mid to late 1800s. Rick Yorn and Chris Donnelly are executive producers. This is going to be going out to buyers later this month. What do you think about this?
Going out to buyers, huh? This is the type of, this is a little lesson, okay, in peering through the court curtain, and you only get this kind of vision, this X-ray vision, when you've been in the trenches as long as I have.
Oh, my Lord.
Interesting timing for this story today. Do you know why? Do you have any idea why?
Not that I can think of, no.
The embargo lifted on a show called Shantaram.
Oh, Shantaram, right. The Charlie O'Donnell one. Yeah, Charlie Hunnam one.
Did not go so well. I'm looking at the Hollywood Reporter email in my inbox, and it says, review Charlie Hunnam and Apple TV's ambitious mess of an adaptation.
Yeah.
So this is what you do when you don't have a hit. You announce your next project before it comes out. Okay?
Wow.
And that is what this reeks of to me.
Okay.
This guy being like, ooh, these reviews are bad. Like, I'm not going to get hired after this, but and so that's why agents are constantly lining up the next job before the project comes out. And that's all that this is.
All right. Fair enough.
Do I think that this is actually going to do I think it'll actually happen? I'm not sure, but I think it could be good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would watch a show called Gangs of New York. It would be tough. Those would be tough shoes to fill between Leo and fucking Daniel Day-Lewis. You're talking about 2 of the top 10 greatest actors ever.
It's true.
Potentially. So I think those would be very tough roles to fill. You'd have to, I mean, no one liked the Cameron Diaz shit. You'd have to get rid of her.
She was terrible.
Down the romance, or at least find someone with some fucking chemistry
with
your lead. But people watch Gangs of London. Why wouldn't they watch Gangs of New York?
Yeah. Gangs of London is good, and that season 2 trailer dropped earlier this week. I should have done a reaction to that because it's a pretty fucking badass trailer. All right, let's see here. How much time you got left? 10? Got 10?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Brad Pitt's Plan B, what do you think about this, is exploring a potential sale. The Wall Street Journal reporting this. They announced the company hired global independent investment bank Moelis and Company 6 months ago to explore the deals with potential investors. What's this all about? Is this tied to the divorce here with Angelina Jolie?
Interesting timing.
Yeah, because I mean, there's that email that supposedly leaked that showed Jolie in the best light possible, having a back and forth with Brad about the wine company. By the way, I bought that rosé quite a few times and drank it with my ex-girlfriend. It's not a bad rosé. So would this, Costco sells it for $22. Is this a good idea? Like, do you think this is all him trying to hide some assets, just like most men do when they're going through a divorce?
Oh, I have no idea about hiding assets or anything like that. I think it was, I mean, listen, it's a good time. Take away all the Angelina Jolie. Let's just put that on the back burner for now. Forget it ever happened.
Okay.
It's a good time right now for him to sell because he has Plan B produced what could be multiple Oscar nominees this year.
Okay.
Right? They produced Women Talking. They produced She Said.
Okay.
And I think that they produced another one too.
Okay.
So I just think, if it does wind up with 3 of the fucking 10 Best Picture nominees, like that on its own demonstrates that it has certain heat, and now is the time to sort of go get additional financing, sell, or whatever the fuck it is. I mean, everybody's already been doing that, and Plan B and Brad Pitt. First of all, they have exceptional taste.
Yep.
They have a much, longer, richer track record than most of these people who have been selling their companies for hundreds of millions of dollars, namely Reese Witherspoon and Hello Sunshine and LeBron James and Spring Hill.
Right.
I think it's the right time, but also with the Angelina stuff factored in, it may just be who knows what else could come out about Brad Pitt. Let's fucking sell right now before shit gets really bad.
It's possible too. Yeah.
Who knows? But do I think Brad Pitt needs money or that needs to hide money from her? No, I don't really get that vibe.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Right. Blonde. That is it. Micah. Blonde. There you go. That's
Blonde. Yeah, exactly.
Not going to get a Best Picture nomination, but it's a.
She might get a Best Actress nomination.
She can get other nominations too.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. They did Minari in 2020, Father of the Bride, and Blonde this year, and you get, like you said, She Said, and Women Talking. Landscape with Invisible Hand is next year. They were involved with Vice, involved with Moonlight, with Big Short, with Selma, with 12 Years a Slave. So it's a good track record.
I don't get that. I don't get Landscape with an Invisible Hand at all. That's what a title too. I would have killed that right in the womb, right in the crib.
All right, let's see here.
Projects that I've tracked for years. It's just why does anybody want to make this?
That's a fair point. Thoughts on Angela Lansbury, passed away this week. What a legend.
To a queen, to a legend. We stand, an icon. I jumped on that obit. And it was interesting learning a little bit about Miss Lansbury and what she's been through and everything. She had a tough upbringing, but she was basically a star at 17 or by 17 or 19. She was making $500 a week, which is what an assistant makes today. So she was doing very well for herself as a teenager. She was, I think, an MGM contract player, 3 Oscar nominations. And then she won she got an honorary Oscar. I think it was in 2014. Yep. So she is an Oscar winner, just not competitively. I think she got nominated for an Emmy every single season of Murder, She Wrote. 12 times, never won them.
Wow. Yeah. That's kind of crazy to think about. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I grew up with her with Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. That was my entry point to Angela Lansbury. Then going back and watching her, obviously in Beauty and the Beast, but also one of my favorite musicals, Sweeney Todd, the stage musical. You can see Angela Lansbury there with George Hearn playing in Sweeney Todd, she's fantastic in that. And of course, Manchurian Candidate, discovering film and going back and watching older films. Watching her in Manchurian Candidate is chilling. If you think Meryl Streep seducing Liev Schreiber is real uncomfortable in the updated Manchurian Candidate, the remake, go and see the original. Her fawning over, I can't remember the actor's name, fawning over him as her son is so uncomfortable. And that's the 1950s when you're seeing that happening in that film. And she's great in it.
I completely agree. And a lot of people in the chat are mentioning that the Manson anecdote. Did you see that online, John?
No, what's that?
It was that her daughter, I think, fell in with the family.
Oh, shit.
And Angela Lansbury had to like go rescue her daughter from Charlie Manson and then moved them to Ireland. She moved her family to Ireland.
Wow. Yes, Lawrence Harvey. Thank you, channel name. Lawrence Harvey. That's the actor, Manchurian Candidate. Yeah, it reminds me of the Catherine Oxenberg thing where she had to save her daughter out of the Nexium cult and did a whole documentary about it, which is pretty insane. And by the way, season 2 of The Vow is coming on HBO Max, I think next week or in 2 weeks. So get ready for that, which is going to be so much fun to see because I love that. Did you see this teaser trailer for Spirited? I didn't get much out of it. Any thoughts? Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds coming together for a Christmas movie?
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a fun movie to watch over the holidays with your family on Apple TV Plus, which is exactly what they're going for. But this has never been my cup of tea. Christmas Carol stories, any of these. I'm going to show you your life.
You just wait till it happens to you, you son of a bitch. You just wait. All right. Adam Jimenez sent us a Streamlab. He said, Sydney Sweeney and Barbarella. Jeff, do you think this will work towards getting her image taken more seriously, or just her that since Barbarella is more of a pulpy, sexy kind of picture, which for the record, I love. Yeah, Sydney's big week for Sydney Sweeney, getting booked in a number of things. What do you think? I mean, Barbara just seems perfect for how much Sydney Sweeney is really embracing her sexuality and knowing the power of that in this industry. So it's a great choice. What do you think about her and all the stuff she got attached to over this week?
Barbarella smelled like a project that won't get made. Like, okay. And this is the same studio that made Charlie's Angels. Like, did they? Yeah. I feel like they know better. I feel like they learned their lesson. This feels like just like we got to keep the rights or something sort of thing. I don't know. But like, you would think that in this day and age, Barbarella wouldn't really fly.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they found an interesting way into it, but I don't think there was a writer mentioned in that announcement.
No.
Yeah, it was without detail. It was just like Sydney Sweeney, I want to, expand my producing slate. Give me the rights to something, that I could get my hands on cheap or that would, attach me. And there's no director or writer. I don't know how real that is. Even when I checked in with Sony, I didn't get the vibe that they were really driving the train there.
Gotcha. Jeff, are you going to have one of your young assistants drive you to a Blink-182 concert now that they're back together? What's your thoughts on that?
Was that a question from somebody? What? First of all, I love that first album from Blink-182.
There you go.
They have some bangers, but no, I'm not going to the Blink guy concert guy. Wait, there's a couple. Wait, what were we just talking about? I had something else to say.
Oh, you did? We're talking about Sydney Sweeney. She was attached to a few things.
Did you see the premise for the registration?
No, what's the premise for the registration?
This was something that was announced a couple months ago, right?
Okay.
Before the book came out. So the log line was under wraps. It wasn't in the article. But it was like in the future, everyone is allowed one murder.
Ooh.
The problem is, you have to register your murder with like the government. You have to say, I killed John Rocha, and the government says, okay, you can kill John Rocha. You have 14 days to do it.
Yeah.
So this woman is in line, and she's going to register the man who abused her as a child. Okay. And then she overhears someone say, I want to register this girl.
Oh, wow. Her.
And now she's like, well, wait, who would want to kill me?
Right.
And it turns out that multiple people have registered this girl and are trying to kill her over the next 2 weeks. She has to figure out what's going on. I really like that premise. It's
That's a good premise.
Kid gamey, but like who's out to get me?
But also strip it down to its base. It's high school. Why do these girls want to destroy me? It goes all the way back to that. Yeah, it works.
I don't know. That was the most promising project on her producing slate.
I feel like a lot of people will register to try to kill me. That's for sure. Jeff, Halloween Ends is out right now. People are watching it right now on Peacock. Do you have any review on this? I know it's dropping on LA Mag tomorrow, but can you tease your review?
Yeah, I really wish I had finished it today.
Your review or the movie?
The review's not good. The review's pretty bad.
Yeah, I rewatched both of these films because I got this sweatshirt and they want me to do a little video for Jamie Lee Curtis and her legacy in Halloween. But yeah, man. Yeah.
John, do people actually contact you and they say, oh, John, can we get a Halloween Ends sweatshirt in the back of your frame so that whenever people watch one of your shows, they're going to see Michael Myers above your head? Do they do that?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Do you get paid or do they just ask for a favor?
No, they'll send me the sweatshirt. And I'm like, sure, I'll do it for a couple of videos. Sometimes they pay me. Depends on the situation. Okay. Sometimes there's a publicist who has helped me get into something. So I'm like, sure, why not?
Now I'll start taping this fucking podcast with a fucking Halloween end poster right here in place of Drive.
The problem is you come off as unapproachable. So I think these publicists are intimidated.
Look at all these people who have approached our show watching here.
It's true.
Oh, I see. I'm unapproachable to the publicists, right?
That's what I mean. Yeah. You've burned people to the ground, Jeff. Don't lie.
No, I am not Nikki Fink, which by the way, I wanted to talk about her on this show too.
Let's do it.
I am not Nikki Fink. I don't burn people to the ground or ruin careers or try to get people fired.
Okay.
Only if you fuck with me.
Like last words.
I don't, bite unless I'm provoked.
Right. I'm the same way. I'll give you the same treatment you give me. That's how I am.
Right.
I agree with you 100%. That's why we work well together. Yeah. Anything you want to say on Nikki Fink? I saw people like me posted. I mean, I liked Nikki. I know she stepped on some toes, but I liked her approach to LA and how she was kind of burning Hollywood sometimes when it needed to be burnt. But I also know she also made mistakes and changed things around sometimes to kind of cover her ass. But I saw all this anger from people about her, which I thought was really, especially young writers. I was like, what the fuck do you know about Nikki Fink? So it just kind of surprised me, some of the reactions.
She has a complicated legacy, and we have a complicated history together, obviously.
You tweeted some DMs.
Yeah, I did. And we did have a nice little DM correspondence for a while there after she left the business.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why, because, she was always trying to get me to write for her site, which never really took off, Hollywood Dementia.
Right. After she left Deadline and sold Deadline. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that clearly there are people like myself who may have learned some of the wrong lessons from her at a very key time in our formative years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe she installed some bad habits in me, or not that I ever learned from her. I mean, Sharon is cut from the similar cloth, and
Sharon Waxman at the Wrap.
Right, I did learn from Sharon. When Nikki died, Sharon even tweeted like the ultimate insult for a journalist, which is maybe I'll write about it later. So
I'm sure people react the same way possibly when Sharon.
It was an incredible response. I had people like being like, texting me the tweet and being like, oh my God, this woman is just unbelievable. But Nikki changed the game. And I think that she changed it for the better. She woke this town up. She held, power to account. Yeah, she definitely, I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat it. She's a bitch. She's a huge bitch. I don't think she would deny that. And I could use way worse language, believe me. Yeah. But, we need bitches. We need bitches and assholes, to genderize it or whatever. Like, we need people like this, because if not, guys, you are going to get the most stale, bland, boring fucking coverage of this industry.
Yeah.
Okay? So, you may not always like how she went about it. You may not like how I go about it sometimes, but you fucking need people like us on that wall, because without it, that wall isn't even worth fucking looking at.
You want me on that wall. You need me on the wall. And I agree with you, Jeff. I think so. And name me the last time a cage rattler had the really great personality and never stepped on any toes. That's kind of the game. Once you've built that reputation and that's your approach to things, from Luella Parsons to Hedda Hopper to all the way to Nikki Fink, there is a legacy in this town of female reporters coming in and shaking the town to its ground. We've seen some fantastic reporters come through over the last few decades. They write some really incredible exposés about what's going on in Hollywood and in LA. And I agree with you. There's nothing wrong with that. If there wasn't that, then publicists and executives and film directors and producers and actors would manipulate the narrative. I mean, if someone hadn't called, if Shia LaBeouf doesn't post those videos, Olivia Wilde is still running with her narratives about this whole situation that happened behind the scenes in Don't Worry, Darling, and pushing her idea because Florence wasn't getting involved in it. So she knew she had a clear road until she brought Shia into it. And that's the kind of example that you would get consistently across the board if there weren't people like Nikki Fink and others who come out and expose this kind of stuff.
Yes. And you know what? To some a bitch would seem like a curse word, but I'm telling you, if Nikki Fink were sitting here next to me, it would be a badge of honor. It would be a badge of honor.
Fair. Fredtastic314 says, hey guys, great show. Great show. Jeff reminds me of a pro baseball scout when he's looking at a prospect. He gets down to the nitty gritty with no flowery feelings about what he sees because what he sees is what matters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yes, I have my own opinions. I can make up my own mind.
Yeah.
So can John. That's what I respect.
That's fucking true. Micah says, Jeff, after your piece on Paramount slate for The Ankler, did your mind change on it after Smile's big success? Yes, Smile opened at 19 million.
What do you mean? I had a very good outlook on Paramount, if I recall. I mean, they had just delivered like 5 hit movies in a row when I wrote that piece, and I had always heard that Smile was going to be a sleeper hit. I'd heard that it tested through the roof. So I was always, its success not surprised me.
Okay. Fair enough. And I like this comment here, Scott Barkley, about Kim Masters. Kim Masters is the very definition of a B in not a good way. No, I like Kim Masters. What
do you mean in not a good way? Like, I don't understand.
Wait, in not a good way. No, he's wrong. She's great. Kim Masters is fantastic.
Yeah, Kim is
that's a terrible quote, Scott. Go get your fucking head examined. That's a terrible.
Kim is the best journalist in the industry. I mean, are we going to call her that word because she gives powerful men a tough time? Like, no. She's taken down kings and deservedly so.
She went after Weinstein.
Yeah, I mean, I took my cap to Kim. That's not what I'm getting at all with the use of that word.
Right. Jeff's saying you need people who are not going to take any shit and break through those walls and rattle some cages. And sometimes you have to be an asshole or a bitch to do that.
Nikki sent me to sleep crying some nights. I mean, as a young journalist who locked horns with her, like, it was scary. And I do think that she impacted my career. I don't know. There's probably, I could not tell you how many people she probably called, executives and agents, say, why do you deal with this guy, Jeff Sneider? He's such a little piece of shit. If you deal with him again, I'm going to fucking burn you to the ground. And now I haven't fucking heard from those people for 10 years, like I'm almost 100% sure that happened. Yeah. So I'm sure that she has shit talked me. But you know what? It's like, if people in that position, if your name is coming in out of their mouth, if they're thinking of you, then you're doing something right.
This is the game.
And that's what I heard from one of my former editors when she passed. It was like, we drove her fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like that, when she flamed out around 2012, 2013 is maybe when I was at the peak of my journalistic powers as far as like breaking news and stuff. And I drove that woman up a fucking wall. And she may have thought I was just an annoying little pissant flea that meant like nothing to her, but she still had to waste that energy doing the little shoe motion.
I think this is a great idea. Zeno, they need to make a movie on Nikki Fink. I think a TV series would be even better.
They were making the TV series, John.
Were they? Oh, that's right. Who played
Diane
her?
Keaton.
Huh?
It was Diane Keaton, and they filmed up. They shot a pilot. They had multiple other scripts. They actually had some pretty interesting writing talent in that room, including THR's own Seth Abramovich. But it's like, how do you mess that up?
Because it's Diane Keaton. Diane Keaton doesn't radiate that. She doesn't radiate that. You got to get someone.
The problem is, and this is, I know how to do that show in my fucking sleep. Okay, sure. I already wrote it 10 years ago with Rachel Abrams, who's now at the New York Times. The way that you do the Nikki Fink show is she's not the main character. Okay, you have to do it on a young person who is either intimidated by Nikki Fink or mentored by Nikki Fink.
Yeah.
Sees who Nikki Fink is and tries not to become that person. Okay, but she feels the lure of the dark side. It's just you need something else. You need another young journalist who is impressionable.
You're talking the Tony Curtis, Burt Lancaster film, The Sweet Smell of Success. That's what it is.
Never seen it.
What?
Never seen it.
You motherfucker! Watch that movie. It'll blow your mind because everything you just said is in the movie.
Well,
all right. Let it be.
Guys, I have to mention there's a Fear series in the works.
What, the Mark Wahlberg movie?
Yes, one of my favorite movies, John.
Why do you have to mention this? Go ahead. Yes.
This Fear fucking rules, dude. When's the last time you saw that?
Once.
Did you see it?
Once was enough.
You haven't seen it.
Yes, I saw it. It's Wahlberg with Reese Witherspoon. He's knocking on the door going crazy. I can't remember who the dad is.
William Peterson.
That's right. William Peterson, Mr. CSI. Yeah.
The greatest.
It was a crazy film, but nobody talks about Wahlberg in that film. They talk about him in Boogie Nights.
That's true.
Also, you're old. It's 25 years ago, Boogie Nights. That's how old you are, Jeff. 25 years ago. Let that sink in. All right. Any final words on this? Anything else you want to bring in before we wrap up?
No, this is a long podcast.
Okay. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're at the hour 20-minute mark. Thanks for the Streamlabs and the Super Chats. Hey, if you're watching later, there's a thanks button down below. So if you appreciate what Jeff was able to break here, hit that thanks button, send in some contributions, send in some money to us so I can pass it on to Jeff, for the love of God. He's been hassling me to give him some money for the last few weeks now. I got to give him some money. So please hit that thanks button and send in some big dough so I can pay the man for being on the show and being a part of the Outlaw Nation here with this show, The Hot Mic. It is The Hot Mic with Jeff Sneider and John Rocha. I still got to pay him, though, even if I'm second billing. All right. Jeff, where can they find you and everything here going on, man?
AboveTheLine.com. That's the new site. BTLnews.com. That's the old site. The Ankler. Hopefully next week I'll have my Amazon Slate story. And then LA Mag for tomorrow's Halloween Ends review.
Ah, there you go. Also a big shout out to Queen releasing a new song. If you haven't heard the new song, it's out there for y'all to listen to. Go and listen to the new song from Queen. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Remember to subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button. And also my podcast, The Top 10, The Cinephiles, The Geek Buddies. And we are our own podcast, The Hot Mic. Go and subscribe to The Hot Mic so we can get some ads going on the podcast. Go and subscribe to The Hot Mic wherever you download podcasts so you can take us along with you for sure. All right, that's it from us. Y'all take care of yourselves. Be well. Have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you next time with a brand new episode of The Hot Mic. Peace.